If you're investing internationally, then you already know your portfolio is working pretty much 24/7. So the big question is, how do you manage it when markets all around the world are keeping completely different hours? Well, today, we're building your strategic guide to the 2026 global trading calendar. Think of this as your blueprint for navigating the year ahead. So here's our game plan. We'll kick things off with the core challenge every single global investor faces. Then, we'll get our bearings with Thailand's 2026 trading calendar. From there, we're going to map it against the major world markets, pinpoint exactly where the schedules can create risk, and then wrap it all up with a clear, actionable strategy to protect your portfolio.
All right, let's dive right into the core problem for any international investor. It's a really simple idea, but trust me, it has massive implications for your money.
This is the key question, right? Because while the stock exchange of Thailand is quiet for the night or maybe closed for a holiday, you better believe markets in New York, London, and Hong Kong are wide awake. News is breaking, prices are moving, and all of that action can directly impact the value of your investments before our market even gets a chance to open. So, here's the crucial starting point. Before we can even begin to understand what the rest of the world is doing, we have to know our own schedule, right here in Thailand. This is going to be our anchor point for the entire year's strategy.
Okay, so here it is, the full list of the 19 official trading holidays for Thailand in 2026 straight from the SEC. You'll see all the usual suspects like New Year's and Constitution Day, but what I really want you to notice is the extended break for Songkran. It runs from Monday, April 13th, all the way to Wednesday, April 15th. That is a long time for our market to be offline while the rest of the world keeps on trading.
Now that we have our home-based calendar locked in, let's see how it lines up with the rest of the world. We're going to map it against 3 major markets where a lot of Thai investors have their money.
First up, let's take a look at a key market right in our own backyard, the Hong Kong Exchange, or HKEX. It's a massive financial hub and, for many Thai investors, it's often the first step into going international. You know, what's so interesting here is the unique mix of holidays. You've got the long break for Lunar New Year from February 17th to the 19th, a huge event, but Hong Kong also observes holidays that are common in Western markets, like Good Friday and Christmas. So you can already see how there's this potential for both overlap and, well, divergence.
Okay, next up, we're flying over to Europe to check out the schedule for the London Stock Exchange. London is such a critical link between Asian and American trading hours, so its schedule is incredibly important to watch.
Now, the UK's schedule is really dominated by its various bank holidays scattered throughout the year, and of course that big Easter period with both Good Friday and Easter Monday off. And hey, here's a little pro tip for you. Notice the early 12:30 p.m. London time closing on Christmas Eve and New Year's Eve. Getting caught off guard by an early close like that, yeah, that can be a very costly mistake.
And finally, we got to talk about the Titan, the U.S. market. This covers both the New York Stock Exchange and the NASDAQ. Let's be honest, what happens here often sets the tone for everybody else. The U.S. has its own very distinct set of holidays that you just won't find anywhere else. We're talking about Martin Luther King Jr. Day in January, Juneteenth in June, and of course Thanksgiving in November. And just like London, you've got to watch out for those scheduled early closures, 1 p.m. Eastern Time on the day after Thanksgiving and again on Christmas Eve.
Okay, so here's where it gets really interesting. What happens when we lay all of these calendars on top of each other? This is where we can start to pinpoint the moments of highest risk for a Thai investor.
This slide just illustrates the whole problem perfectly. Just look at April 2026. Early in the month, the West is mostly closed for Easter. But then, just a week later, while the US and European markets are fully open and trading, Thailand is shut down for nearly a week for Songkran. This creates a huge risk of what we call a price gap. That means the stock you own could open way higher or way lower when our market reopens, all based on news you couldn't possibly trade on.
Okay, let's get even more specific. I want to show you a real-world example of this exact risk. It all happens on Good Friday, April 3rd, 2026. This isn't just another holiday. It's a collision of schedules that every single investor needs to have on their radar.
So, on this particular Friday, the U.S. government is scheduled to release the non-farm payrolls report. This thing is one of the biggest market-moving pieces of economic data in the world. It's basically a report card on the U.S. job market, and it can cause massive swings in prices.
But here's the kicker. The U.S. stock market is closed. London is closed, Hong Kong is closed, but this huge report still gets released,
And as this quote explains, the entire market reaction gets funneled into the few markets that are still open, like currency and futures. This can create some seriously extreme, unpredictable volatility that catches unprepared investors completely by surprise.
So after hearing about all these potential pitfalls, you're probably asking, how do you turn this knowledge into a real plan? How do you actually protect and prepare your portfolio for these moments of, well, scheduled chaos?
It really comes down to 4 simple, actionable steps. First, be proactive. Go add all these key international holidays to your personal calendar right now. Second, highlight those divergent holidays, especially that crazy Songkran week in April. Third, think about reducing your risk before these periods. It's probably not the best time to open a huge new position right before a long weekend when you can't react to global news. And fourth, always be aware of when major data, like that non-farm payrolls report, is being released on a holiday. So here's the final takeaway. Strategic planning isn't just about knowing when to trade, it's about understanding when to be cautious. Your portfolio doesn't take a holiday just because your local market does. Use this calendar as your guide, and you can turn these periods of risk into moments of strategic advantage in 2026. Thanks for joining me.